Hey there, fellow gardeners! If you're growing tomatoes this summer, you've probably felt that moment when the summer sun starts to beat down. And you wonder if your plants are going to survive the heat. It's hot, it's intense, and no matter how much you try, those poor tomato plants just don't seem to handle it. Maybe you've even seen your plants drooping, the leaves starting to yellow, or your precious tomatoes getting sun-scald. But don't panic. In this video, we're going to show you how to support your tomato plants and help them thrive under that hot summer sun. If you want to grow juicy, vibrant tomatoes, stick with us because we've got some practical and easy tips coming your way. So, let's talk about it. Why is the summer sun so hard on our tomato plants? Tomatoes love the sun, no doubt about it. But sometimes that same sunlight can be a little too harsh. When the heat gets extreme, it can cause the plants to stress, dry out, and even burn the fruit. And let's face it, nobody wants to see those sunburned tomatoes, right? That's why we're here today. I've got 4 simple, yet effective tips that will help you keep your tomato plants happy, healthy, and thriving even when the sun is relentless. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, these tips are easy to follow and will make a huge difference in your garden. Before we dive into the tips, I want you to remember this. Gardening is all about listening to your plants. Just like us, they need a little care and attention. When you understand what they need and act on it, you'll get the most out of your garden. So grab your gardening gloves and let's dive into some ways you can beat that summer heat and give your tomatoes the best shot at thriving. Now, the first and most crucial thing to remember when it comes to helping your tomatoes cope with the summer heat is water. Just like us, tomatoes need a good drink when the weather's warm. But it's not just about how much water you give them, it's about how you water them. A little and often just won't cut it, I'm afraid. You see, those tomato roots, they want to burrow down deep into the cool soil, seeking out moisture and stability. So what we want to do is encourage that deep rooting, and we do that with a good deep watering. Instead of giving your plants a quick sprinkle every day, give them a good soaking a couple of times a week. The key is to really soak the ground around the base of the plant, letting the water seep right down to the roots. This encourages those roots to dig deep, making them stronger and more resilient to the heat. Now, to help keep that precious moisture locked in the soil, we're going to call on our old friend mulch. A good layer of organic mulch, like compost or bark chippings spread around the base of your tomato plants acts like a comforting blanket, keeping the soil cool and moist. Not only that, but it also helps to suppress those pesky weeds that compete with your tomatoes for water and nutrients. Think of it like tucking your tomato plants in for a good night's sleep. They'll wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day, even when the sun is beating down. Remember, consistency is key here. You want to keep that soil consistently moist, not waterlogged. Feel the soil with your fingers, and if it's dry to the touch, it's time for another good watering. Now, we all love a bit of sunshine, but even sun worshippers need a break from those intense midday rays, and your tomato plants are no exception. When the sun is at its peak, it can be a bit much for even the hardiest of tomato varieties. So what can we do to provide a bit of respite? Well, one option is to create some temporary shade. Think of it like putting up a parasol on the beach. You can buy special shade cloth from garden centers, which is lightweight and allows air to circulate, or you could even use old sheets or net curtains. Just drape them over your tomato plants during the hottest part of the day, and you'll be surprised at the difference it makes. Now, if you're after a more permanent solution, you can use taller plants to create natural shade. Planting taller crops like sweet corn or sunflowers on the south side of your tomatoes can provide some much-needed shade during those scorching afternoon hours. It's like having a living, breathing sunshade that not only benefits your tomatoes but also adds a lovely visual element to your garden. And of course, let's not forget about our trusty trellises. If you're growing your tomatoes up supports like canes or stakes, you can create a bit of a canopy by training the plants to grow along them. This not only provides shade, but also helps to improve air circulation around the plants, reducing the risk of diseases. Now, just like a good haircut can make you feel refreshed and revitalized, a bit of pruning can do wonders for your tomato plants, especially during the summer heat. You see, pruning isn't just about keeping things tidy, it's about improving airflow around the plant and directing energy to where it's needed most, those precious tomatoes. When we prune, we remove any dead, damaged, or diseased leaves, as well as any suckers that sprout from the joints of the stem. These suckers might look tempting, but they're just going to sap energy from the main plant and produce smaller fruits. By removing them, we're allowing the plant to focus its energy on producing bigger, healthier tomatoes. Now, while we're on the subject of supporting our tomato plants, let's talk about why it's so important, especially in the heat. As those tomato plants grow taller and heavier with fruit, they become more susceptible to wind damage and disease. By providing them with sturdy support, we're helping them to stay upright and preventing those heavy branches from snapping under the weight of all those juicy tomatoes. There are loads of different ways to support your tomato plants, from simple stakes and canes to elaborate cages and trellises. The best method for you will depend on the variety of tomato you're growing and your own personal preference. But whatever method you choose, just make sure it's strong enough to support the weight of the plant and fruit, and that you tie the plant in regularly to prevent it from flopping over. Right, now we've sorted out the water, the shade, and the support, it's time to talk about feeding your tomato plants. Just like athletes need the right fuel to perform at their best, tomato plants need the right nutrients to thrive, especially during the summer heat when they're working extra hard to produce all that delicious fruit. Now when it comes to feeding tomatoes, a good balanced fertilizer is key. We're looking for a fertilizer that's high in potassium, which helps with fruit production, and phosphorus, which promotes strong root development. You can either use a granular fertilizer, which you sprinkle around the base of the plant, or a liquid fertilizer, which you mix with water and apply to the soil. Now, a little tip from me, it's best to feed your tomato plants little and often, rather than giving them one big feast. This is because too much fertilizer at once can actually damage the roots and do more harm than good. I like to give my tomatoes a feed every couple of weeks throughout the growing season, and I always make sure to water the plants well after feeding to help distribute the nutrients evenly. And another thing to remember is that different stages of growth require different nutrient balances. When your tomato plants are young and just starting to grow, they need a fertilizer that's higher in nitrogen to encourage leafy growth. But once they start to flower and set fruit, you'll want to switch to a fertilizer that's higher in potassium and phosphorus to support fruit production. And that's it, folks. 4 simple tips to keep your tomato plants happy and healthy during those intense summer months. Keep them hydrated with deep watering, provide some shade during the hottest hours, prune and support them so they stay strong, and feed them the nutrients they need to thrive. With just a little care and attention, you'll be harvesting the juiciest, most delicious tomatoes in no time. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more gardening content, and leave a comment below with your own tomato growing tips. Thanks for watching and happy gardening.